Some ideas Japan has come up with are so smart that the moment you encounter them, you immediately wonder why the rest of the world hasn't done the same. A soft omelet folded over fried rice that turns two simple ingredients into one of Japan's most beloved meals. A store that sells high-quality products with no brand name and no logo, just the product at the price it should cost. And bullet train seats engineered to rotate so every passenger always faces the direction the train is traveling no matter which way it departs. Japan doesn't just come up with better ideas, it follows through on them so completely that by the time the rest of the world notices, Japan has already moved on to the next one. Today, we're counting down 14 Japanese ideas so smart they should be global. Watch until the end, because number 14, a ruler with a built-in magnifying lens that lets you follow an entire line of text without moving a separate magnifier, shows how Japan turned one of the most frustrating parts of reading into something effortless. Number 1. Omu-rice omelette rice. Omu-rice is a Japanese dish of seasoned fried rice wrapped inside a thin, soft omelet, topped with ketchup or a rich demi-glace sauce. And it's one of those combinations that sounds simple until you eat it and realize it's one of the most satisfying things on a Japanese menu. The rice is cooked with chicken, onion, and seasoning before being folded inside an omelet, cooked to a specific softness that sits somewhere between set and runny. In certain restaurants, the omelet is sliced open at the table and peeled back to reveal the rice inside, with sauce poured over the top as it opens. It's comfort food elevated by precision. The omelet has to be cooked at the right temperature for the right amount of time to achieve the texture that makes the dish what it is. Too firm and it's just rice in an egg wrap. At the correct softness, it's something else entirely. Japan took two everyday ingredients and turned them into a dish worth traveling for. Number 2. Muji non-brand high-quality store. Muji is a Japanese retail brand built entirely around the removal of branding, with products across every category from clothing to furniture to food, sold without logos, without designer names, and without the price markup that brand identity usually adds to the cost of an object. The concept is that the product should speak for itself. A Muji pen works well because it's designed and made to work well, not because a name on the side tells you it does. A Muji shirt fits well and wears well because the materials and construction justify the price, not because of what it communicates about the person wearing it. The store covers an extraordinary range: stationery, bedding, kitchen equipment, skincare, snacks, storage, travel accessories, and clothing. All sit under the same no-name philosophy at prices that reflect the cost of making a good product, rather than the cost of maintaining a brand image around it. Japan built a retail concept around the idea that quality is enough on its own. Muji proved it works. Number 3. Yakult and the Yakult Lady. Yakult is a Japanese probiotic drink sold in small distinctive bottles containing a specific strain of live bacteria developed by scientist Minoru Shirota in the 1930s, with the goal of improving gut health at a price accessible to everyone, rather than positioned as a premium supplement. The drink is distributed in Japan partly through a network of Yakult ladies, women employed to deliver bottles directly to homes and offices on a regular schedule, maintaining a personal relationship with their customers and providing a distribution model that reaches people who might not seek the product out in a shop. The bacteria strain, Lactobacillus casei shirota, is the same in every bottle produced anywhere in the world today. The formulation hasn't changed significantly since Shirota developed it because the research that justified it remains valid. Japan developed a probiotic product decades before gut health became a global wellness conversation, made it affordable enough to drink daily, and distributed it door to door. If you're enjoying this so far, go ahead and tap like. It tells YouTube you want more of Japan's clever everyday innovations. And if you love discovering things you didn't even know existed, hit subscribe so you don't miss the rest of this list. Trust me, the next ones are even cooler. Number 4. Shupato bag. The Shupato is a Japanese reusable shopping bag with an accordion pleated structure that collapses into a compact roll in seconds by pulling both ends of the opening outward simultaneously, causing the entire bag to gather itself into a flat strip that you roll into an egg-sized coil small enough to fit in a jacket pocket. You use the bag, pull both ends outward, and the pleats collapse inward automatically. Roll the strip up and the whole bag is stored. No folding, no stuffing it into a pouch, no trying to remember the crease pattern from last time. The mechanism works because the pleats are built into the fabric structure rather than added afterward. The bag wants to fold this way, you just initiate it. Most reusable bags fail the convenience test because putting them away takes long enough to make not bothering feel justified. The Shupato takes 3 seconds and fits anywhere. Japan solved the reusable bag problem by solving the storage problem first. Number 5. Matcha spaghetti ice cream. Japan serves ice cream in the visual format of a plate of spaghetti, with soft serve pressed through a fine mesh to produce long strands that pile onto the plate like pasta, topped with a red fruit sauce that resembles tomato sauce and finished with white chocolate shavings that stand in for parmesan. The matcha version uses green tea soft serve that carries the color and flavor of the tea through the entire dessert, plated in the spaghetti format with the same strawberry sauce and white chocolate finish that makes the visual illusion complete. It tastes like matcha ice cream. It looks exactly like a plate of pasta. The combination of a visually convincing fake dish with a genuinely good ice cream underneath it produces an experience that works on two levels simultaneously. Japan's dessert culture treats presentation as a legitimate part of the product, and the matcha spaghetti ice cream is the most theatrical expression of that principle, available on a spoon. Number 6. Ume Waka gigantic sushi. Ume Waka is a sushi restaurant in Japan that serves pieces of nigiri at a scale so far beyond standard that the portion of fish sitting on top of the rice is the size of an entire palm, producing sushi that requires both hands to hold and multiple bites to eat. The fish quality matches the presentation. The oversized cut is not a novelty substituting for flavor. The tuna, salmon, and other varieties are prepared and served to the same standard as a conventional piece of nigiri, just at a scale that makes the experience visually and physically different from any other sushi restaurant you visited. It's also genuinely practical for groups. A single piece is large enough to share between two people, which means a table can order a wider variety of fish and share each piece rather than committing one person to one variety per piece. The scale that makes it a spectacle also makes it one of the better formats for group dining in Japan's sushi scene. Japan took one of its most refined food traditions and scaled a single element of it to an extreme without compromising any of the things that make the tradition worth respecting. Number 7. Newspaper from the day you were born. Japan provides a service where you can order a printed newspaper from the exact date of your birth, or any significant date in someone's life, delivered as a gift item that shows what was happening in the world on that specific day. The newspapers are sourced from national and regional archives and printed or reproduced in a format that reflects the original publication, covering the news, sports results, cultural events, and advertisements of that specific day in a way that no digital search result replicates. As a gift, it's the most specific thing you can give someone, not a general summary of the year they were born. The actual newspaper from the morning of that day, with everything that was happening in the world at the moment they arrived in it. Japan built a gift product around archival newspaper access that turns a historical document into something personal and immediate. The day you were born had a front page. Japan made it available to hold. Number 8. HugMe Coke vending machine. Japan installed HugMe vending machines in select locations that dispense a free can of Coca-Cola to anyone who wraps their arms around the machine and hugs it, activating a sensor that detects the embrace and triggers the dispenser. The concept was introduced as a marketing campaign, but the machines operated as functional dispensers, where the hug was the literal transaction. You embrace the machine gives you a drink. No payment required beyond the physical act of hugging an object in public. It's a campaign that works because it asks for something that costs nothing and returns something tangible. The hug is slightly ridiculous. The free Coke is real. The interaction generates a specific kind of joy that a standard vending machine transaction never produces. Japan produced a vending machine that gives something away in exchange for warmth and made the entire interaction genuinely enjoyable rather than transactional. The drink is the same. The reason you're smiling when you open it is completely different. Number 9. Mario Kart Street Rentals. Japan operates licensed street kart rental experiences, most notably through companies like Maricar in Tokyo, where participants rent go-karts styled after Mario Kart characters, dress in licensed character costumes, and drive a mapped route through real Tokyo streets alongside actual traffic. You choose your costume, receive a safety briefing, and join a group that navigates a route through districts like Akihabara, Shibuya, or Odaiba in a convoy of low-riding carts at street-legal speeds. Traffic lights, pedestrian crossings, and other vehicles are part of the route rather than obstacles removed from it. The experience puts you inside a version of a game that most people have spent significant time playing on real streets, in a city where the environment itself looks and feels close enough to the game world to make the parallel feel deliberate. Japan turned a video game driving experience into a licensed street activity and produced something that makes Tokyo feel for about an hour like a course you've driven before. Number 10. Mango Fruit Sandwich. Japan produces fruit sandwiches called fruit sando, where thick slices of fresh seasonal fruit are layered with whipped cream between slices of soft shokopen milk bread, cut precisely to show the arrangement of fruit through the cross-section. And the mango version is one of the most visually striking things sold in a Japanese convenience store or fruit parlor. The slices of mango are positioned before cutting, so that the cross-section reveals a clean, geometric arrangement of fruit and cream, visible through the crust-free edge. The visual presentation is considered as carefully as the flavor. The combination of the sweet mango, the lightly sweetened whipped cream, and the soft, pillowy bread produces something that tastes considerably more refined than the format suggests it should. Japan applied the same attention to a fruit sandwich that other cultures apply to pastry and produced a convenience food item that looks like it was made by a patisserie and costs about the same as a standard sandwich. Number 11. Bad breath checking device. Japan produces handheld personal breath analyzers that measure the concentration of odor-causing compounds in exhaled breath and display a numerical reading or color-coded result, indicating whether your breath is within an acceptable range or requires attention. You breathe into the sensor, wait a few seconds, and the device gives you an objective reading rather than the subjective and socially impossible assessment of asking someone nearby for their honest opinion. The devices are sold as standard personal care products in electronics shops and convenience stores, used before meetings, dates, job interviews, or any situation where the question of whether your breath is acceptable has consequences you'd rather not discover after the fact. Bad breath is one of the most common and most consistently avoided personal hygiene conversations in any culture. Japan made the assessment a private, immediate, and objective transaction between the person and a device that has no feelings about the result. You check, you deal with it. Japan made that process available for a few thousand yen from a shop shelf. Number 12. Automatic koi fish feeders at public ponds. Japan installs coin-operated automatic fish feeding machines at public ponds, temple gardens, and park water features stocked with koi, allowing visitors to dispense a measured portion of fish food for a small fee and feed the fish without staff involvement or the inconsistency of visitors throwing in unsuitable food. You insert a coin, the machine dispenses a small cup or tablet of appropriate koi food, and you feed the fish from the bank. The food is nutritionally correct for the fish. The portion is sized to avoid overfeeding. The machine controls both variables without requiring anyone to monitor the pond. Koi are expensive, long-lived fish that are damaged by poor diet and overfeeding. The coin-operated feeder protects the fish, generates a small revenue for pond maintenance, and gives visitors a genuinely satisfying interaction with the pond's inhabitants that feels participatory rather than purely observational. Japan turned watching fish into feeding fish and made sure the fish benefit from the arrangement rather than suffering for it. Number 13. Shinkansen seats that rotate with travel direction. Every seat on a Shinkansen bullet train is mounted on a rotating base that allows it to be flipped to face either direction of travel, so that when a train reaches its terminus and reverses direction for the return journey, every seat in the carriage can be turned to face forward in under a minute. At the end of the line, cleaning crews move through the carriage and rotate every seat as part of the turnaround process. Every passenger on the return journey faces the direction the train is moving, rather than riding backward for the entire journey. The mechanism is simple. The seat pivots on its base, locks into the forward-facing position, and stays there until the next turnaround. No tools required, no seat replacement. The same seat that faced one direction for the outbound journey faces the other for the return. Japan decided that nobody should have to ride a high-speed train facing backward and built a seat that makes that outcome impossible. Number 14. Magnifying lens ruler. Japan produces rulers with a strip of magnifying lens built into the edge, positioned along the measurement marking so that numbers and lines are enlarged by the lens for anyone reading them, making precise measurements readable without a separate magnifier being required at the same time as the ruler. The lens runs the full length of the ruler and sits directly above the measurement scale. You position the ruler, look through the lens, and the markings are enlarged to a size that's legible without strain. For detailed technical drawing, fine craft work, or anyone whose close-up vision makes reading small measurement markings genuinely difficult, the ruler combines both tools into one without adding meaningful thickness or weight to the object. Japan identified that using a ruler and a magnifier simultaneously is awkward because both hands are already occupied and produced a version of the ruler where the magnifier is already there, fixed in the correct position, requiring nothing extra from the person using it. One object, both functions, problem solved. If you want to see more amazing things Japan is doing better than the rest of the world, then like and subscribe. And make sure to watch the video on your end screen. It's packed with even more smart things.